that he's in love with, and he's tried to give nicknames to every NA player. So, interesting conversations happening here. So the third was obviously never put down, but it was really hard for Creature to scout that. The probe leaving doesn't actually see the third timing in a lot of cases. So Penguin asked, why did you make a Void Array? And Creature said he knew it was an all-in. He transferred drones to the natural. Penguin transferred drones to the natural to fake him out. So he try and show that he had more drones than he really did. And that's why he was confused. Like, what told you that it was a Nidus Worm? And Creature just said, I saw 4 drones in a natural. Which I kind of get, I guess. Penguin still isn't, like, convinced. I mean, I don't think he's accusing Creature or anything, but it's more like, I don't know. I want to say it's more like when Idra would die to some things, and he'd just be like, why would you do that? Like, you shouldn't have done that. That's, like, it wasn't what you're supposed to do, and that's the only reason I died to it. Maybe that's kind of the same thinking. Like, Pen was like, you weren't supposed to make a Void because you weren't supposed to know. So the fact that you did know, but it actually wasn't something that told you, but you still did it anyways, it's really infuriating. I don't know his thought process, but they said they'll talk about it later. In the bottom right, as the green Zerg, it is Penguin. In the top left, as the red Protoss, it is Creature. Yeah, you transfer the drones, make it seem like you have more than you do. You're actually going to use the natural. Yet, it's still a very small number of drones. And I think Creature is still on guard against Penguin. If you're facing someone well-known for their macro, with a totally, like, legit standard play, maybe you give them the benefit of the doubt, and you just wait for your second scout. But I'm thinking that it was a combination of multiple things. Mental and, you know, actually physically seeing it in the game. But what is Penguin going to do for the second game? He could play standard. As I said, he was playing pretty standard in a lot of the games that we got to cast anyways, or see. I didn't see his round of 8 match, I don't think, against Protoss, but he has a lot of different builds. The Nidus Swarm didn't work out when he really thought it was. It's such an early Nidus Swarm, too. And a Void Array being made was the real killer. Without the Void Array, there's a chance that Creature holds. Shield Battery kicks in, Probe Surround does its work. There's, again, not many units for either party, so Micro is really big. But the Void Array just made it look really silly, and a lack of transfuse as well. But that's something you don't do twice in a row. There are a lot of other things you can do for sure. Why Nidus there? I see this question by a lot of people, and I find it's a little shocking, but I guess, you know, a lot of people don't watch a lot of StarCraft, so I think Rogue kind of popularized it, but it was happening before Rogue won IEM. Where Zergs just place your Nidus Worm in the natural instead of trying to hide it. I think there's a couple of different reasons for it, but I'm not like 100%, you know, the authoritative person on this one. Don't really cheese very often and don't play either of these races, but my perspective was at least that it got on top of the most important structures first. A lot of times, Rogue would do like a 3-base Nidus Worm, and there'd be like a Robo with building on Mortals, and you could kill the Robo, you could kill the most important pylon, powering everything over here, and you would have a little bit of creep spread to actually micro on, where if you Nidus Worm over here, to actually do anything, you have to walk a little ways forward, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but I feel like it can be. They set up it takes them time to get his probe line up, it gives them time to set down some shield batteries over here, it gives them the production over here untouched, because if you Nidus Swarm and they know about it, they're gonna wall off. But enough theory crafting about that. Looks like Penguin realized that Ling Bus would be very, very good. He goes for the same Baneling Nest position, but does keep his guys in gas, and I felt like that was one of the reasons why Ninja was able to determine to go for a secondary wall off. But I also said that I wasn't sure it was like 100% like confirmation that's a Baneling must if you were to see that. But here's the rub, right? Creature doesn't see any of this. Creature did not send his Adepts out and has not seen the Baneling or the Gas Geyser since his initial probe. All I saw was a 3rd base. But he's playing a little bit safe by going for a shield battery. I don't know if that's really safe enough. The Oracle is coming out. The Phoenix is clearing up an Overlord. And that will keep Penguin a little supply blocks, but he plans on losing supply anyways. And the Oracle is popping out at a time where it can just turn around immediately and help out versus the Lings. But so far, slow reaction, pulls the probes first, brings the Oracle back now. Lings do go into the main base. He splits his probes, but Lings are going to get on top of the ones in the main, and that's going to be damage no matter what. The probes actually, wait, what soaked the Banelings? Was it the Adepts? An Adept soaked the rest of the Banelings. But 14 probes still go down. That doesn't put Penguin in a winnable position quite yet, but more Lings are on the way. Oracle's running out of juice, and he's not building another one because he had to pull his probes. He doesn't have any money. 30 minerals is all he has to his name, and I think Penguin's done it. Oh, so many probes dead. Oh my god, GG. A lot of cheeses in this tournament, but I like it. Penguin brings back the score to 1-1. And now we go into the ace match to determine who gets out of the group. We already know who is out. Unfortunately, I had to say goodbye very quickly to, I wanted to say Saxfrey, but damn it, that wasn't his name. Sasori, there we go. And Ninja is still waiting in the decider match. People still talking about Fear Dragon's nicknames for NA players. Game time is God time when he wins and choke time when he loses. It's so easy just to give God to everyone's nickname. That's like the majority of players' nicknames in NA scene. God something. I wish Game 10 played in a couple more tournaments. That'd be pretty cool. But anyways, we are still casting this one in the bottom left, bringing back the series to a tied score. It is Penguin. In the top right is the red Protoss. He is Creature. Still not entirely used to casting at NA hours. Ballistics is a long cast now anyways, so 5 hours is a little long to begin with, but then you add on the fact that that starts at 9 and ends at like 2 a.m. And I'm usually wrecked after that, but just in general, there's not a lot of NA things to cast. Everyone wants that sweet, sweet, sweet European time slot. Or you have other casters casting all of the NA tournaments that do happen. Not me, though. I'm usually well into a couple episodes of something on Netflix. Drinking decaf coffee. I like my nighttime. But anyways. Just buying time, since there's not much to talk about. It's 16-bit, which is always cool. In terms of that mind game. Anytime there's an in-base expansion, there's always a little bit of a mind game. Even Neon Violet Square had that, and that wasn't really an in-base expansion, it was an in-base third, which is still an expansion, but just a little bit different. These type of in-base naturals, really hard to get back there and scout with, and do provide even, you know, safer ways to play a super macro game, because obviously Neon had its half minerals that were really weird. Deterred you from taking its in-base. A Creature takes his, makes sense. Penguin takes his outside, makes sense. This is just really nice for multiple reasons. Again, one of those being like they won't be able to scout if you have a third base for quite some time, and then you can actually kill any of the scouting units that come forward, and you can start your creep spread nice and early, and some players even wait till the very last base they'll ever take, like their 6th or 7th, to take this, because it is so safe at a much more dangerous time in the game. Typically, we've seen a lot of early game decision making. losses and victories in this tournament. So I say typically the longer a game goes, the harder it is to get the expansion. Although everyone's going to scout that it is in fact Stargate. Penguin has shown us a Nidus Worm, and he's shown us a Baneling Bust. What is his third option here? He goes for regular time third base, which is something that creature won't be able to scout until the Oracle comes out, but we know. See if Penguin really truly drones it up. As he's taking his guys out of gas, he has indeed. So not feeling the Baneling Nest. Spore Code's coming out at a good time. Third base doesn't really need one because there'll be no drones there. Looking normal. Looking normal. I guess this map kind of deters the early cheeses for obvious reasons of the in-base expansion, but I wonder how much it deters. There's actually a ton of like dead space, so you can kind of sneak your way into. Even over here is dead space sometimes, but the fact is you get a very nice easy wall that would have been easily walled with a pylon on another gateway or two more gateways. So I would have suspected Penguin goes for something a little bit more of that mid-game surprise. His lair is 415, so definitely not the earliest one. A little past normal sometimes. Oracle did not get very much done. It was instantly shooed away by Queens, so nice position there from Penguin. And creature is going up into that Templar Archives with the Archon drop. So he made a mistake, at least. Maybe it was Ninja, actually. In fact, that might have been Ninja on this map, but you know, 4 gateways in total, so you can instantly warp in 4 High Templars for the Archon. His charge is also really well timed, so that if you did put a couple chronos into it, the first 2 Archons might not be accompanied by it, but the next warp in could be used for charge lots. But I said he's gonna slap on a Templar Archives. I'm making sure I didn't just miss it again. No, he doesn't actually add one. Okay, there it is. I was like, wait, does it come out with a warp prism or does it come out with the charge? Protoss build orders are the hardest to learn, honestly. Zerg build orders are the hardest to explain, I think, because they react so much to everything, but then the Protoss build orders are just so precise with Chrono that, I personally don't want to play Protoss. Terrans, I just know my production timings, and I just feel like I'm good to go. But it's a Spire and a Hydralisk Den. This is always so tricky when Zergs do this. It's not very popular for them to do, but Penguin's not the first Zerg to do this, nor will be able to last. It'll come and go in the meta, I'm sure. You slap down both tech at a time, and like, even if the Protoss scouts it, like, what do they respond to? They have to wait to actually see what you produce. And typically, it's going to be those 8 mutas into Hydras, into a normal game. It doesn't have to be. He actually cancels the Hydralisk Den, so I don't know. Because the thing is, even if they scout both and they predict what I just explained, there's always the chance you just go into like 20 mutas and 30 mutas, so nah, it's not going to be scouted at all anyways. Penguin has some really great queen positioning. His creep spread's looking pretty good too. He's getting a 4th base. His Overlord is being denied more scouting, but he's kind of seen all he wants to see. He saw the 3rd base timing. He sees that it's a Warp Prism, no doubt with Archons. Exactly. There's not much more to scout other than army positioning, I think, for the rest of the game. But that's not the same case for Creature. Creature really, really, really wants to know what tech is happening with that lair. And, you know, in a lot of normal EVPs, it's going to be a Hydralisk Den, you know, best bet. But if it's mutas, you can make a huge mistake. You could have a Warp Prism out on the map. You could have no defenses back at home and just lose a ton of probes, even if it is only 8 mutas. This is dangerous stuff. But Creature is trying to attack before the mutas. Well, he doesn't know it's mutas again, but maybe he could have had an attack before mutas. It's not going to happen here. He's still warping in. There's creeps are going to be on Penguin's side for the queens, for the lings, for the banelings. And the muta's going to be able to take out his reinforcement line. If you can squeeze in, how many games does he have? If you can squeeze in 8 stalkers as soon as you see that there's mutas, you might be able to make this attack work, but it's quite difficult to do. The banelings run in, but the queens have all died, so actually was a okay trade, I feel. The Archons continue to live. He is trying to warp in those stalkers, but he just used all of his warp-ins on Zealots. The mutas, however, are not targeting the Warp Prism, so he might just be able to warp in more anti-air. It's awfully close. He went for the charge lots instead just to continue the attack. And this looks like it is going to be the end of the aggression, but it was able to push through the Ling, Baneling, Queen defense. Penguin definitely missing some of those transfuses, rather, to buy some more time. Is going to lose 8 drones, maybe 9. Okay, not quite 9. But might lose his third base, where I feel like it could have been a little bit different. The Queen's transfused, the Banelings get juicer hits on the Zealots, and the Mutas go right for the Warp Prism. Maybe it's different, but it was a hard call no matter what his decision was. Can't say that it was necessarily the worst one. He was put in a tight spot because he went for Mutas like he did. If he had gone for Hydras, it also would have been kind of pretty tricky because they're only, you know, flooding out as the attack happens. It was just an almost perfect timing there from Creature. Maybe a little bit sooner would have been perfect. Maybe with +1 would have been perfect. But pretty nice. Sometimes you guys write such weird things in my chat that I have to respond immediately. Mutas do go for the probe kills, but behind that aggression, Creature was adding on the SAG defense that is necessary. His next goal in this game is to determine, are you going for more Mutas or are you transitioning? But with the Phoenix already in a high number, because he went with second Stargate, which I feel is like... Not many Pro players do this anymore because not many Zerg players go into actual Mutas, like, above 12. But I'm glad he did, as with Phoenix and what should be Anti Pulse Crystals, haven't I talked about that upgrade in a while, he will just utterly dominate this game. Penguin lost his third as his fourth was coming up though, so his transfer of economy actually wasn't so bad. It's just that his composition right now is looking quite poor. Let's even check the income graph to determine. He was never very far up in the first place. Creature had some pretty nicely timed third and fourth bases. But obviously it was a hit to kill. To lose that third base. Oh, Phoenix are now even just running around town. Sometimes when Phoenix do this, the Mutas circumvent and go for an attack somewhere, and it can be kind of a bad trade-off. But the Mutas are stuck here. Ling's over here, get caught by a really nice stasis trap. That was really good. And the Phoenix are pinning the Mutas back and getting this damage done. Okay. Nope, they still are. The Mutas... I think Penguin's kind of having like a crisis here. He's like, what, do I let them? Okay. I think what he's trying to do here... Oh, hold on. Hold on. And Impulse is done. Oh my god, this game's gonna go so well for Creature. Sorry, I think what Penguin was trying to do was wait for the Corruptors to actually kill the Phoenix. Because in his mind, he's seeing the Phoenix kill a bunch of drones and he wants to stop them, but he knows he can't. But if he can jump on top of the Phoenix, you might get a couple of good kills. But it didn't really work out that way. The Phoenix just ended up getting kills, getting anti-pulse crystals, and killing all of his air army regardless of his patience. And here comes the rest of Creature's army, which has just been untouched. It's now with Blink and +2. Really well done game here for Creature. It could have been different. 10 seconds of a multitude of things, and this is such a different game. But the way it went perfectly for Creature. Penguin is going to lose this game and go on to face Ninja in the decider match, another ZVP. But not before he attempts a base trade. You gotta do it if you have Mutas and Corruptors. You gotta try the base trade. He's got a base over here, but he doesn't really have that many minerals. This is where you'd be slapping down a bunch of bases trying to win the actual base race. But his army gets hardcore stomped, and that's gonna be it. GG. What's up, Rapid? Apparently, we have an update from the other group. BioIce makes it out first. That was pretty well timed, as Creature makes it out first from this group.